I start my book with an introduction. I use the introduction to give some insight into why and how I wrote my book and to explain the nature of my lifelong struggle with my brother. It took me 20 years after the tragic death of my brother Paul before I finally felt free to tell my story. This is an excerpt from the introduction to my book in which I start to describe the nature of my difficult relationship with my brother. My brother Paul was my only sibling and was younger than me by 5 years. When we were children, our age difference prevented us from being close friends. However, we were close in the way that two people who share a common hardship become close. We grew up in a dysfunctional family with parents who created constant strife and anger within our home. They loved us in their own way and were not physically abusive to us, but they were almost always arguing and at each other's throats, causing my brother and me to live with the ever-present fear and uncertainty of parents who were out of control. My brother and I had a cool and distant relationship because of our troubled childhood. I spent most of my teenage and adult years trying to forge a warm and loving relationship with him without much success. When my brother first became ill, he lashed out at my efforts to help him, and the strain on our relationship became even worse. Despite his anger, I was always willing and able to find a way to help him. I became completely involved in his care as his illness progressed to the point that he became homebound and bedridden. However, it was most disheartening that as my brother was slowly sinking into a vegetative state, I was never able to tell to what extent he was aware of or appreciated the fact that I was there for him.